The Unbreakable Will, How Spartan Discipline, Bhagavad Gita Courage and Egyptian Ka Shaped Self-Belief. Chapter 1. Rise of the Red-Skinned Warrior. In an age when the earth was still young, a line of young men from the city of Sparta marched under a crimson sun, arms laden not with spears but with the weight of destiny. Their training began at a tender age. The Agoj demanded that they endure pain with stoic silence, find honor in suffering, and place the collective above the individual. One famed Spartan, Lysander, once walked through a burning city, unscathed, because he had trained his mind to view every obstacle as an opportunity for growth. The lesson for us? Discipline is not a punishment, it is a path to resilience. When the world throws obstacles, the first call of thought in a disciplined heart is, how can I use this to grow? How to apply today? Choose one small discomfort each day, maybe a brisk walk, an extra set on the gym, or a tough conversation. Approach it with curiosity and record how each moment hones your resilience. Conclusion. Spartan discipline teaches that the will is forged in fire. If you can master yourself today, you can conquer tomorrow. Call to action. If this inspires you, please like, share, and subscribe for more stories that ignite your inner warrior. Reflective question. What obstacle are you willing to face today to strengthen your will? Chapter 2. Krishna's Call, the Courage of Surrender. The battlefield of Kurukshetra was not only a clash of armies but a battlefield of souls. Arjuna, the archer, stood trembling, his heart full of doubt and sorrow. He was poised to attack his own kin, but he could not muster the courage to act. He turned to his charioteer, who was none other than Lord Krishna. Krishna poured out the timeless wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita. When you surrender your ego and act with purpose, the universe will align with you. Krishna's advice was not about blind devotion. It was a strategy of psychological courage. By focusing on duty rather than attachment to outcomes, Arjuna reclaimed his warrior spirit, fired at the enemy, and emerged victorious. Practical lesson. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the discipline to act despite it. By focusing on the process, not the outcome, we release the fear that stalls us. Actionable example. Draft a concise list of goals that reflect your core purpose. When you feel doubt or fear, remind yourself of the purpose, not the result. Keep that focus as your steady compass. Conclusion. Arjuna's resolve came from surrendering ego, not from giving up. It was a true act of courage that reshaped destiny. Call to action. If this resonated, please like, share, and subscribe so the courage of ancient sages can guide you in everyday action. Reflective question. Which ego-driven fear can you surrender, and how will that unlock your true purpose? Chapter 3. Egypt's Ka, the Heart of Continuity. In the Nile Delta, ancient Egyptians believed each soul carried a Ka, a spirit that survived beyond the mortal body. They created elaborate tombs, inscribed prayers, and offered gifts in hopes that the Ka would thrive in the afterworld. The practice taught that our lives must be lived with intentionality, aligning what we do now with the legacy we wish to leave. When the great builder, Imhotep, drafted the first pyramid, he did so with a vision that transcended the fleeting moment. He ensured each stone was precisely placed, every chisel mark aligned with the cosmic rhythm that the Ka would one day dwell in. Insight for today. Legacy is not an end goal, it is a mindset. When we embed purpose into daily actions, we form a personal Ka that echoes beyond this life. Example of application. Set a legacy board each week. Images, words, and values you're building into your day. Every decision should be checked against this board. If it aligns, it nurtures your Ka. Conclusion. The Ka reminds us that the will is a continuing, dynamic force. A life lived with intention becomes an enduring legacy. Call to action. If you want to build your own Ka, hit like, share, and subscribe for more lessons on living with purpose. Reflective question. What legacy would you like your Ka to leave for the world, and what small thing can you do today toward that legacy? Chapter 4. The thread that binds, weaving discipline, courage, and legacy. When a Spartan stands ready, when Arjuna chooses duty over doubt, and when an Egyptian lays a cornerstone with the memory of eternity, each story knits a single truth. A will that refuses to break must be cultivated on 3 pillars. 1. Discipline, the daily practice of resilience, as Spartan warriors showed. 2. Courage, the willingness to act in spite of fear, a lesson from Krishna. 3. Legacy, a purposeful alignment of actions with a larger sense of purpose, reflected in the Egyptian Ka. Applying this triangle means that when you face an uphill task, you see it as a chance to train discipline, you confront the fear inside with a courageous heart, and you recognize that every single moment is a thread in the tapestry of your legacy. Practical exercise. Pick one daunting task today. Apply discipline by setting a strict timeline. Use courage to take the first step without waiting for perfect conditions. Reflect on how this action threads into your broader purpose, your personal Ka. Conclusion. An unbreakable will is not a mythic weapon. It is a disciplined practice built from ancient wisdom and anchored in our personal narrative. Call to action. If you are ready to strengthen this will, like, share, and subscribe. The next chapter of this series will reveal a philosophy that brings all these strands together. Reflective question. How will you weave discipline, courage, and legacy into your next challenge? Chapter 5. The final armor, unbreakable will in the modern arena. In boardrooms, classrooms, and battlefields of the mind, the old lessons remain remarkably potent. When an entrepreneur's product fails, the Spartan discipline pushes them to refine rather than quit. When an athlete hesitates before a podium, Krishna's courage whispers that practice is all it takes. When a community leader plans for generations, the Egyptian Ka reminds that their decisions echo far beyond the present. Modern success requires not a single flash of brilliance, but an unshakable commitment to the principles above. The true enemy of will is not the world's obstacles, but the inner voice that says, "I am not enough." How to embody it today? 1 morning ritual, 5 minutes of disciplined action, journal, exercise, focus. 2 midday check, pause to ask, am I acting in line with my purpose? 3 evening reflection, journal how you honored your Ka today, noting small wins. Conclusion. Your will is a living thing that can be reshaped daily. Combine Spartan discipline, Krishna's courage, and the Egyptian Ka, and you possess a shield that the modern world cannot shred. Call to action. If this resonates, like, share, and subscribe to keep the torch of ancient wisdom burning in your daily life. Reflective question. What will you change tomorrow to align more closely with your unbreakable will? Philosophy Spotlight. Stoicism, the science of inner strength. What is Stoicism? Stoicism, born in ancient Greece and refined by Roman thinkers, teaches that we can influence our inner responses to whatever unfolds externally. By disciplining the mind and detaching from emotional turbulence, we preserve clarity, purpose, and resilience. Historical anchor. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, chronicled his own journey with the Meditations. Amid empire building, he reminded himself that the obstacle on the path becomes the path. His disciplined mind transformed every crisis into an opportunity for growth. 3 key lessons for modern success. 1. Focus on what you can control. Your reaction to challenge is your domain. When you steer your response, you wield power over outcomes. Action when faced with criticism. Choose to listen, learn, and adapt rather than react defensively. 2. Reframe challenges as growth. Obstacles are not enemies, they are teachers. Each problem carries a lesson for those who dare to listen. Action, write down the lesson you learned from each setback. Feed this list into your daily reflection. 3. Live according to virtue. Authentic greatness stems from integrity, courage, and wisdom, virtues that align with your deeper purpose. Action, set a monthly virtue focus, e.g., practice empathy. Act on scenarios that test this virtue. Connecting to the script's theme. Stoicism seamlessly intertwines the Spartan discipline, the courage of Krishna, and the legacy of the Egyptian Ka. It is the invisible thread that allows each ancient practice to translate into modern resilience. Discipline becomes a practice of control, courage an act of reframing, and legacy a living virtue that aligns with purpose. Takeaway. Adopt a stoic mindset, and your will no longer falter at obstacles. It will become the engine that turns them into milestones. Final call to action. If you found value in these ancient threads woven into a modern tapestry, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Together, let us cultivate an unbreakable will that echoes across time.